So there we are, and I also saw the gate there, which was John's Gate, Porta Giovanni, which of course is the gate in the old Roman wall, because obviously Rome extends well beyond that, but that was the sort of wall of Rome, and that was basically sort of about as far south without going into the Roman area, if that makes sense. The area with the forum and stuff like that, that I sort of went. I then went acrosswards to, now what was it? Better have a look at this. Oh yes, Parco Opio, which basically lies between St John's and the Colosseum. Do you know, I couldn't find St Clement's. I couldn't find it. It's here on the map. I supposedly walked past it, but I was looking for it at the time and I just couldn't find it, which is unfortunate, because that's supposed to be a good sort of monument as well. Maybe it was closed. If these places are closed, and the museums are all closed on a Monday, which is why I wasn't going to do any of that today. I'm not a big museum person anyway, so how many museums I actually do, and not just sort of walk around the outside and take photos, I can't promise you, you know, but there we are. Anyway, Parco Opio is a nice little park. It's basically a set of terraces that, terrace gardens that overlook the roundabout with the Colosseum on it. And then I went into the Colosseum itself and looked around there, which was fantastic. I had a look at, oh yes, Domus Aureus as well, which is in the park. It's at the top. It's a load of ruins which you can't really get to. You can take pictures of it, but you can't get into it. It used to be the home of somebody called Aureus, presumably, but it was actually part of a complex of baths, of which very, very little remains. That is sort of what the Parco Opio is built upon, and you sort of see little bits of what was once there, I suppose. Well, a wall here, an arch there, and that's about it, really. So, after the Colosseum, Constantine's Arch is right outside the Colosseum, so I saw that. Unfortunately, half of it is in scaffolding, so I only managed to sort of really enjoy half of it, but there we are. And you can't go inside it as far as I know, so that was just like a thing to see. And then I headed towards the Roman area. It was getting late. It was sort of getting about 4:30. Things were shutting, but I wanted to know where to go for the actual Roman area of Rome. And there are two main areas. One of them is the area that basically has all the imperial Rome. So it's got the Forum in it, and it's got the Palatine Hill, and you can go into one or the other. Basically, they're two separate things. If you go into the Forum, that's fine, but the entrance to the Palatine sort of area is somewhere else. So that is what I plan on doing tomorrow. Now, I actually walked around that area, and you can walk not through it, but you can sort of walk. There's a little path that doesn't get shut that leads to several churches. One of them was Santa Sebastiano di Palatino, which was shut, Saint Sebastian basically, on the Palatine, and the one at the top, which was Santa Bonaventura di Palatino, which is small. It's like not a, I don't want to say a disappointment. It is a quaint, lovely little church. It's up the hill, through either side of some fantastic ruins which you can't get to, because obviously you have to pay and use the proper entrance to get into them. It's quite a long way up this cobbled hill, and when you get to the top, it's a very, very small building. So the thing I liked about it was that outside on the wall, you had, you know, life-sized Stations of the Cross all the way up the last bit of the sort of cobbled path. Anyway, so once I got to the top, I then had to turn around and come all the way back down. And then I walked through. Now, this is where things started to go a bit the shape of a pear. I walked down the Gregorio, so I walked underneath the Palatine, and there is several things there to see, which I didn't see any of them. One of them is St. John and Paul, St. Stephen's Rotunda, and Terma di Caracalia, Piazza Numa Pompilio. I didn't see any of that, but I walked basically between that and the Palatine Hill until I got to the bottom, which was Piazza di Porta Capena, and that's what overlooked the Circo Massimo, which was the precursor, if you like, to the Colosseum. And you can't get anywhere near it now, you can just look over it. But basically it's a valley, and this valley sort of has the outline of what used to be an amphitheatre in it. And that's the largest area for entertainments, sort of known to archaeology, basically. So there we are. And then I decided that I was going to walk quite a way down this straight road, continuing to get to... Now let me have a look on here. Ah yes. Pyramid di Ciao Cestio. Basically, it is an Egyptian-style pyramid, and it is a tomb of Chesto, whoever he is. Unfortunately, he did rather park himself quite a long way. He is possibly as far south as you can go and remain within the walls of Rome at that point. In fact, the Piazza di Porta Paolo, St. Paul's Gate, is there right next to him. And the Parco della Resistenza, which is a new park. Well, I say it's a new park. It was sort of it was named after the wartime resistance, in fact, but it's not looked after. So, you know, I walked past it, but it was locked up and overgrown. Anyway, then I walked along Via Marmorata. That's right. Crossed over the bridge. That was Ponte Sublico, and I wanted to see if there was these little eateries down by the river, because I saw it on a programme about travelling to Rome, and it's a load of balls. At least it is at this time of the year. I walked for miles along this river. Okay, I basically went from there all the way round the sort of bump of Trastevere, up all the way along Gianicolo, so all the way up until you get to St. Peter's, and then I crossed back over just in front of the Castel St. Angelo. So those were seen at night, but then I got lost, and I spent about an hour walking round in circles. What I wanted to do was get to... Where did I want to get to? I can't even see it on this map now, you know, because I've basically... It was such an experience for me. Basically, oh yes, this was the map. Yes, this was the map. So basically, I wanted to go around the Musei Capitolini. I'm not quite sure whether that's a government building or a museum, but it is absolutely humongous, and I wanted to sort of go round that to the Colosseum, which lies at the bottom of a road that sort of goes around it, and I ended up walking around near where did I go? I basically went down Corsa Vittorio Emanuele, so his road again. I went all the way until it changed to Via del Plebiscito, and then unfortunately I took a wrong turning, and this was rather because of Chiesa del Gesù, the Church of Christ, which really threw me, to be honest. It just had me going in the wrong direction. There was a piazza in front of that as well, Piazza del Gesù, Christ's piazza, and I ended up coming off on the wrong road, basically. This piazza is basically overlooks an area of ruins, and that's what threw me. Anyway, I ended up right down by the river again, almost on the island which is in the middle of the river, before I realised I'd gone the wrong way, and then I had to sort of basically walk back by the main road to make sure I didn't get lost. Anyway, so then I had to cross Rome, and using various landmarks, I went over Trevi, but not as far as the fountain, and then I found myself back, just back to the churches that I visited at the start in the area of this hotel, and then of course I could walk back and have my lunch. But honestly, absolutely knackered. So the plan now is to sleep, and then to charge my U, and then tomorrow we're doing the Roman areas, if that makes sense. But we're also doing as much of that horrible little area that I managed to get lost in as well. So that includes Gardini del Quirino. It includes the Trevi Fountain. It includes the column of Marcus Aurelio. It includes the Pantheon, Piazza Navona, several palaces. Massimo alla Colonna is one of them. Santa Maria in Araceli, in outer space, basically. And it really is, that one's up the hill. I actually passed that on this road on the way back, you see. I refuse to go into Church of Christ, I really do. Piazza del Campi something or other. But that's right at the top, you see. Then you are into the Roman Forum, and then you're down as far as the Palatine. And if possible, I want to end by visiting that isle, Isola Tiberina, which is basically Isles of Tibur, because of course it's in the middle of the Tiber River. And that will probably do for then. If I don't manage to, that's the bit that I may not get everything done in, and so that's sort of the overflow day as well, which will be sort of churches and areas like that. But that will be on Thursday, because Wednesday is the day to do the Vatican, because Castel Sant'Angelo is not open on a Thursday, and the ticket that got me into the Colosseum can get me into the Roman Forum, but only tomorrow. So that's how it's organised. Today has been churches, tomorrow is ancient Rome, Wednesday is the Vatican, Thursday is mopping up the thousands of churches that I didn't manage to get to.